You may be wondering what duct tape, rice, Ziploc bags, and a measuring tape have in common. Well, today we're going to use these strange things to make a weighted blanket, a no-sew weighted blanket. If you don't know what a weighted blanket is or what it's used for, well, you probably do since you clicked on this video. But if you don't, I would say head over to Google and it will fill you in. What I have here is enough rice to make a weighted blanket for my 3-year-old toddler, and I'm using 5 pounds of rice just because he's 37 pounds. They say to take 10% and add a pound, and that was 4.7 pounds, but my scale is not that accurate, so I just rounded up to 5 pounds, and we're going to call that good. Now, I've never made one like this before, so this will be an experiment, but I know that I would like to have it about 36 inches wide and about 50 inches long, based on my Google search of weighted blankets. So I'm going to divide between 5 Ziploc bags to start with, and then we'll go from there. Alright, here are my 5 baggies that have 5 pounds of rice divided between them, so roughly a pound per bag. And again, I have 5 bags because that's how many it took to get 36 inches, give or take, in width. Next, I'm going to measure and see how many baggies I need to get 50 inches in length. Alright, so here are all of my baggies, and this many baggies ended up being about 47 inches long. And since my table's not any longer, we're going to make this blanket be about that long. I'm not sure what the final dimensions will be because, as you can see, these baggies are puffed up with rice a little bit. So it's normal for weighted blankets to have a finished dimension, which means they started with a certain amount of fabric, but it looks a little shorter than that because of the puff up of the filling, the weighted material. So what I'm going to do next is take each baggie and divide it between the bags in that row so that each bag has approximately the same amount of rice in it. To do that, I'm going to go get a tablespoon measure that I forgot to get out and go tablespoon by tablespoon through each bag in each row. Alright, here is the first row of rice divided amongst the first row of baggies. Remember, I had 1 pound of rice right here, and this pound has now been divided between all of these bags. For me, a pound of rice divided by 7 baggies was 5 1/4 tablespoons. Now I'm going to squeeze out all of the air and zip these up and distribute the rest of the rice. So I've got all of my bags divided up, all the rice divided up between my bags, and I'm ready to lay them back out so that I can duct tape them. But as I was laying them out, I realized that the amount of rice that's in here, if the baggie is all the way flat, seems not very weighted. So what I'm choosing to do with mine is to fold over each baggie just a little bit. You kind of have to make sure that each of them are folded over the same amount. And then I'm going to leave a little bit of space between each of mine because this is going to go into a tie blanket, a no-sew blanket, and I want to be able to pull through between the bags, pull some fabric through, which will be on a different part of a video, different video part. So my next step is to lay out all of these baggies and tape down the part that I have folded over. And here are all the baggies laid out, folded over, and ready to be taped. Now, I am not entirely sure how I'm going to tape this all together, so that part will be an experiment. Alright, so experiment part 1, taping the bags together. I think I'm going to try to just lay out the strip of tape and then lay it across my baggies where the zip part is folded down so that I can just tape across and not have to spend 50 million years taping each individual baggie. So here we go. I'm going to see if I can set this there. Okay, so we're going to take the tape. Now I have to be careful that I don't want to tape my table onto the bag, onto the blanket. There. Two. Okay, well that seems to have worked, so I'm going to go ahead and do the next, whoa, sorry about the hand. I'm going to go ahead and do the next rows. Here are all of the baggies taped down. Well, the zip part is taped down to the baggie, so they're folded over. They're connected together, and this method seemed to work fine, except you have to make sure that the Ziploc parts are all matched up and level, because I think now my blanket's not going to be quite as perfectly spaced, but I think I'm okay with that. So the next step will be to connect them all together, cover them completely with tape, and try to get an equal spacing between each of the rows, between the bags. Alright, so step 2 of taping is complete. I have the first side. This is what we did where I taped down the Ziploc part. I just flipped over each row and taped on the other side to make sure there's mostly no sticky stuff. Now, to start taping together, I think I'm gonna lay down a tape sticky side up and just lay each row on top of the sticky stuff. If I had a tripod, I would show you, but I don't, so here I go. Okay, so I laid down a solid strip all the way along here, the sticky side up, and I put the top of this row on here, making sure to leave enough space for the bottom of the row above it. That will help you maintain your space between each set of baggies. My space isn't exactly perfect, but I hope it'll work. Okay, the next part of taping is finished. I have all of my bags taped together. As you can see, there's still space in between, and all the bags are uncovered. I'm going to go ahead and cover everything with duct tape to make it as secure as it can be. Here's that side completely covered in tape. I'm going to make sure that everything is stuck together once I get both sides done. I'm noticing that my side is not exactly straight, but this is going to be inserted into a blanket cover, a fabric cover, so it shouldn't be a problem. And here it is, the final weighted blanket made out of duct tape, rice, and Ziplocs. My final dimensions ended up being 34 inches by 36, so obviously I need to work on how to get that the length and the width that I want it to be, but I'm excited to put this inside the no-sew fabric cover that I'm going to make next. So check out the next video to see the very final no-sew weighted blanket.